I gotta get on something. You good?
So I got about 14 questions here that customers have reached out, made inquiries about, and I thought it would be just another good topic of conversation of things to talk about here. So what separates a consistently successful turkey hunter from someone who just gets lucky? The guy that scouts. You want to hunt where there's birds. I have plenty of habitat, plenty of properties that just don't hold birds. Why do they not hold birds? It's because of the habitat this time of year. Coming up after probably like latter part of May, it's late April right now, our season's about to open. Latter part of May, I'm gonna see a lot of hen traffic down that way. It's a great brooding area. It's not great turkey habitat to hunt the animal. I don't see a lot of birds down there. It's good habitat though. It's good habitat, but it's a good brooding area. It's not necessarily good turkey habitat to kill that tom bird. I've rarely seen that bird. So you really want to spend the time pre-scouting, even if it's from the pickup truck, from the road, right at twilights, right before dark, or if you're that blue collar dude that's getting up, going to work, get up 20 minutes early, 30 minutes earlier than you normally do. If you got a 9 to 5, get up a couple hours early. Just go to the properties and listen. Use your ear hole, stand on the property, listen for where the birds are gobbling, gather some statistical information. Are there or are there not birds there? Quite often, you're going to get at least a couple gobbles in the morning. Find out if there's birds there. If you got trail cameras, use the trail cameras. So what separates consistent turkey hunters from people that just get lucky? Spend time, boots on the ground, windshield time, find where there's birds, and acquire as much permission as you possibly can. If they're there, target them. But find out if they're there and don't waste your time. Second one, what is the biggest lie turkey hunters believe about calling? You gotta have this call, you gotta have this diaphragm, you gotta have this pot call. I'm a game call builder. I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot by saying this. I'm advertising knowledge, not selling my call. Do I want to see people be successful using my product? Absolutely. But what am I selling in this? Knowledge. Don't believe you need this call for this sound. Mediocre turkey sounds will kill birds. It's time and place when to call, when not to call, when to shut up. Mediocre turkey sounds will kill that tom. What mistake do new turkey hunters make that can be fixed before they begin? Dexterity. Figure out how to create those sounds. Putts, clucks, purrs, yelps. Figure out what call you're using and master it. Just practice with it. So something as simple. This is my daughter Kennedy's call. So I love a 3.5 inch striking surface, whether it's a slate call, a glass call, a crystal call, a ceramic surface. I love the surface area of a 3.5 and also the acoustics that are resonated out of a 3.5. The one difference that I made with my daughter, I put an extra lip right here for her little hands so she has a little extra surface area to grab onto right here. Yelps, small circles. Purrs. Putts, clucks. Purrs. Combine all of them. Practice the sounds. Practice with your calls before you go out into the field. Even a box call. I should get into some box calls. I haven't done it yet. I do not build a box call. everything that I do is lathe related, turning on the lathe. I'll probably have to show a video on how to master some of those sounds to create on a box call. But practice. Diaphragm calls, and I'll be honest, I suck on a diaphragm call. I am not good. I deal with year-round postnasal drip. I cannot get a diaphragm call to sound even mediocre. I'm not comfortable with it. I feel kind of shameful to say it out loud, but practice on your calls. So another one, this leads right into it. When should a hunter not call at all? If you call and that bird cuts you off, there's a very high likelihood that that bird is coming. We're actually doing this backwards. Naturally, in the field, the tom gobbles, the hens go to him. We're doing it backwards. We're calling as a hen. We're yelping, we're cutting, we're purring. We're trying to bring that tom to us. So when should you not call? The two things that come just off the top of my mind when you should not call, you hear that first gobble in the morning, you know where the bird is. You're set up. I have a 100-yard rule. I do not want to be any closer than 100 yards to that gobbling tom that's up in the roost. Don't call. You know where he is. He doesn't need to know where you are. Wait for it to get a little bit brighter out. Wait for the sun to start coming up. Listen to where that bird is. And before he flies down, right before he flies down, maybe do that fly down cackle. Cut, 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 cut. Flap your head against the ground. Make that wing sound. I have a wing call. I actually should have had that in front of me. Flap that wing on the ground. You cannot replicate that sound with your hat. Use that wing. If you have that wing, replicate that fly down of a hen. He knows right where you are, and shut up. That's a great time to not call. You hear that first tom in the morning, you know where he is. Wait for him to wake up, stretch his wings, stretch his legs, wait for him to fly down, then let him know where you are. Times you shouldn't call, you hear that first gobble in the morning, you know where that bird is. I personally make a 100-yard rule. I don't want to be any closer than 100 yards to that roosted bird, especially early season. Lack of foliage on the trees. There's not much camouflage blocking you from that bird. I don't want to be any closer than 100 yards. Super diligent approach getting in. You hear that first gobble in the morning, you know where he is. I'm not going to call to him. I don't want to focus attention on me. It's going to take a while. The sun's going to have to come up. He's going to stretch his legs. He's going to tree talk. He's going to vocalize. Listen for how much hen competition that you're going to have to deal with. You hear those yelping hens. Something I love to do is compete with the hens. Right before I think they're getting ready to fly down, I want to be the first bird on the ground. It's bright enough. I know it's bright enough that that bird feels comfortable flying out of the roost. Instead of flapping your hat on the ground, just this. Doing a fly down cackle. Cut, 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 cut. With that fly down cackle, I actually took a wing, turned a handle on my lathe, and I use a wing. Flap it against my leg, flap it against the ground. Get this sound. Cannot replicate that with your hat. I absolutely love using the wing for a fly down with the fly down cackle or just the wing. I have fooled so many toms with no call and just that wing doing a fly down. Make them come look for you. So when you should not call, don't call immediately when you hear that first gobble in the morning. Let them wake up, let them stretch their legs, let them wake up, let them acclimate, let them know where you are, let them come looking for you. but also listen to how much hen competition you have to deal with. If you get that hen to open her mouth, you're not talking to him, you're talking to her. When she opens up her mouth, cut her off, louder, more aggressive, longer, and shut up. Nobody likes to be interrupted. Nobody likes to be cut off. If you and I are having a conversation and I am louder than you and I'm trying to get in the last word, I get in the last word, you're not happy about it. Think about that communicating with a hen. I like to give this analogy. You're at a bar. You're at a bar with your wife, and there is some drunk, annoying woman sitting at the end of the bar, running her mouth, and she's just yapping. And she looks over and she has a conversation with your wife, and they start having words back and forth. Your wife finally gets fed up, and she gets up and goes down the bar to confront that drunk, annoying woman at the end of the bar. What are you going to do as the husband? You're going to get up and you're going to follow your wife. That's who you want to be. You're not talking to him, you're talking to her. You want to be that annoying drunk chick at the end of the bar. You're running your mouth, you're louder, you're cutting off, and you're literally ruffling the feathers of that hen. And when she comes to you, who's following? The target that you're going to shoot, the tom. So you're not talking to her, you're talking to him. So when not to call, right off the roost. Those fly down cackles, using that wing call, or even slapping your hat, that works totally adequate. Listen to the hen competition, but don't call until you recognize all of these puzzle pieces. If those birds hit the ground and you can hear a lack of hen competition, he heard you, he knows where you are. Just wait and listen. Just listen. Don't overcall. We're doing this backwards. Don't forget, we're doing this backwards. We're a hen. We're supposed to go to him, but we're communicating as a hen. We're trying to bring him to you. Make him come look. All right. What does reading a turkey actually mean in real terms? So I do a lot of public speaking. I actually have a traveling shop class where I go into the elementary schools and I teach a shop class. And this week right now, I am in my wife's school. My wife's an art teacher. I'm teaching in the art room, and I pick on my wife. I have all the students look at my wife, and I use her as an example. We're white. We're Caucasian. We have lighter colored skin. And I bring this up not to pick on anybody, not with a racist bone in my body. I bring this up because it's fact. You can see this better on somebody that has lighter colored skin. If my wife was crying and so upset, what color do her cheeks turn? They turn red. She's not making the decision to make her cheeks turn red. It's an emotional response. So looking at the tom turkey, that tom turkey's head changes color depending on the mood that he's in. That bright white, blue, red head, he's excited. He's super excited. Look at the color of the head of the turkey to decipher the mood that bird's in. If you call and he cuts you off, he's probably coming. He's super excited. Make him come look. If you call and he doesn't cut you off and you get that gobble, it might be what I would consider a courtesy gobble. He might be with a hen and he's just gobbling to the catalyst of a hen yelp. Kind of hard to determine, but if you call and you get cut off, he's probably coming and he's probably going to come looking for you. So reading a turkey, listen to when they gobble in accordance to when you call. If you call, there's a pause and a gobble, cut distance. if you have room to cut distance on that sound. Just like coyote hunting. I've said this before, your best coyote hunters are going to be your proficient turkey hunters. If you have the opportunity to cut distance on the bird, proximity is huge. So reading that turkey, how hot, quote, how hot is that bird? Is he fired up and he's cutting you off when you call? He's probably coming, find some place to sit and get ready for a shot. Now, typically, if there's topography, if there's elevation, that bird survives with this. If that bird survived with this, we would never kill that. So if there's topography, if there's a little bit of a high side, try to take that away from the bird. Try to get to a higher topographical feature to take the topography away from the bird. That's going to be the high side that the bird's going to want to come in on. How do I define a losing setup before it fails? So there's so many different scenarios with this. Habitat, if it's too thick, don't forget that bird survives with its vision. If there's too thick of vegetation, that bird does not feel comfortable coming from a field or a roosting area, wherever that bird is, whatever time of day that is, to come through that thick area. You kind of shot yourself in the foot. You want to give that bird the easiest path of least resistance to make them feel comfortable to come look for where that sound came from. So early season, I actually have a property. It's right across the road from me. Early season, I'll walk in from my side of the road, go behind my neighbors, get up on top of the hill. Totally perfect. Later in the season, as the vegetation starts growing in, those birds do not like commuting off of that roosting area in this direction. So as the season progresses, I'll go all the way around them to the other side where they feel comfortable traveling. That bird survives by its vision. And if they don't have the vision, they don't have the comfort level, and that survival instinct says, don't walk through that thick stuff because I could get ambushed. That's how they survive. So give that bird the easiest path of least resistance to get from where they are to your sound, and just premeditate. If there's thick stuff, they're probably not walking through the thick stuff. Has it happened? Yes, it happens. Statistically, not so much. So don't prepare for it. So that losing setup, another thing, don't get too close to those roosting areas. You want to hunt birds where there's birds. You want to hunt turkeys where they exist on property. And if you know where those areas are, I have a 100-yard rule. I don't want to get any closer than 100 yards to where those birds are roosting. You get too close to those roosting areas, you can potentially just shoot yourself in the foot right before it even starts. Also, I like to use a call. I want to call the bird in. I don't want them to just fly down off the roost and shoot them. I love that cat and mouse game. So just be patient with it and give yourself a respectable distance over 100 yards. Give that bird a path of least resistance where they feel comfortable looking for where the sound came from, and be prepared. Always be prepared. Minimize your movements. Yep, I'm good. What's the most misunderstood behavior of gobblers? I think it's the fact that we need to recognize as hunters what I said before. We're doing it backwards. We call as a hen, and we're trying to get that mature bird to come to us, and we're actually doing it backwards. In nature, that bird gobbles, the hens go to him. So this is going to go right into what's the difference between confidence and over-calling. Excuse me. So the difference between the two of those is over-calling and not recognizing when to shut up. Now, I brought a friend out two or three seasons ago. Set him up for success. We had one gobble and he cut me off. That bird is coming. I dropped back behind my friend. The only reason I continued to call was I heard that bird taking the high side. I could hear exactly where that bird was going to traverse, take the high side away from us, and then cut down. And he was aiming completely the wrong way. The only reason I kept calling was so he could hear where the bird was. And when he recognized he totally screwed up and he wasn't aiming where I told him to aim, I had the luxury of squeezing the trigger and shooting the bird. He recognized he couldn't move. He was pinned down. I was able to shoot the bird safely, kept my friend safe, took the bird. It was an absolutely amazing hunt. But the difference between confidence and overcalling is recognizing what birds do when they hear the call. Topography, if there's a high side, try to take the high side away from them. If you can't take the high side away from them, be prepared to take the shot in that direction. And also recognize if you're left-handed or right-handed, what's your strong side to swing on if you have to swing and shoot. So this has happened quite often. You get that bird that close and he fooled you. It happens quite often. If you have gradual movements, that bird's going to see the gradual movement and it's going to get spooked and run. If you just whip real quick at the bird, it's going to give you that periscope and it's going to recognize what was that, and when it picks its head up, you're already there and that's your shot opportunity. So a lot of times super quick abrupt movements, but you got to be quick on the trigger. You got to be really quick on the trigger and recognize the target that you're shooting at. Those gradual movements, that bird can see that and it can screw you before you get to where you have to shoot and the bird's already putting and running away. So that one particular circumstance, my friend was aiming down a logging road, expected that bird to come down the logging road, and when my friend looked over his shoulder and I'm pointing, no, don't point down the logging road, and I'm trying to point at him to take the high side, he never listened. He's a right-handed shooter aiming down the logging road, and that bird popped out onto his right. He can't shift to the right because that's his weak side. He'd have to move his whole entire lower body. He had zero shot opportunity. If he was already aiming at the high side with his body oriented there, he's good. But if that bird did actually take the logging road, he can fix right over onto his strong side and he still has a shot on that logging road, but you have to be quick on that trigger. If you call and you hear a gobble, what does that gobble mean? Is it a courtesy gobble? That's what I like to call it. You touch a call and then you hear a gobble. That tom could just be with hens and he's gobbling to the audible stimulus of you yelping as a hen. He could have hens and he's not coming and you're absolutely wasting your time. If that tom cuts you off, completely different. If you call and that tom cuts you off, completely different scenario. There's a very high likelihood he's going to come looking for you. If you call, there's a pause and a gobble, he might have hens and he's got no reason to leave why he's there. He's just gobbling to the audible stimulus of a hen yelping, which is you. So that patience of waiting for that tom to come to you could totally just be the end of your day. If you have room to cut distance on that gobbling tom, and this is also that 100-yard rule, I'm not going to stalk the sound of a turkey. Am I going to cut distance? Absolutely, cut distance. Cut distance, but do not stalk the sound, especially on public ground. Nothing good is going to happen. Could be another hunter. So that difference between patience and when it actually hurts your hunt, if that tom cuts you off, he's probably coming. Very high likelihood that tom's coming. If you call and there's a pause, but you have distance to cut distance on that bird. Don't put yourself within 100 yards. Cut distance. But the last thing you want to do is continue to call as you walk towards the tom. If you continue to call, you actually sound like the responding hen coming to a gobble. That's the last thing you want to do. You call, you listen to where you have that tom open his mouth, and then shut up. Determine, do I need to cut distance? If you do cut distance, do not walk in that direction and call again, because you sound like a responsive hen coming to that tom, and he has no reason to open his mouth. Those audibles are for location. He's letting you know where he is, and you're letting him know where you are. If you continue to call as you're approaching that tom, he has no reason at all to open his mouth again. So give it that 100-yard rule. Thick timber habitat, you have room to cut distance. Go ahead and cut distance. Use topographical features where if he's on the other side of a roll, if there's a mound of earth, if there's thick vegetation, find an area where, yeah, I think that bird would probably come through this little bit of a clearing, but he's on the other side of that thick vegetation. Just don't call to him while you're walking in that direction. Find a nice, comfortable place, set up, wait, call again, get him to answer, get him to open up his mouth, and then reanalyze. Are you close enough? And if he cuts you off when you call, he's probably coming. What mental shift instantly improves a hunter's success rate? That's a tough one, and honestly, I'm going to say success in the field. Calling, hearing a bird gobble, like I did that. I created that scenario. But the one thing that new hunter definitely needs to analyze and recognize, was that like an isolated incident? Did I get lucky on this? What were all of the variables coming together for my success? That's really hard for a new hunter to recognize. Do the scouting, find where the birds are, recognize habitat, find the roosting areas, all of the things that you need to do before you're actually successful. But that mental shift that instantly improves a hunter's success rate, I'm really going to say is communicating and calling in birds. And it doesn't even matter. Like when I go into the field, my success rate is not dictated on squeezing the trigger. My success rate is dictated on audible interactions and not shooting the bird with a firearm or a bow. It's dictated on shooting that animal with the camera. I absolutely love taking my camera equipment into the field, especially during the turkey season, and just documenting all of those interactions. I can learn so much from that. So your success rate isn't necessarily shooting the bird, but take it as a success rate of just learning from the bird and how they're operating, how they're working, how they're moving, how they're communicating with each other. If you can call in a bird and then just shut up and listen to all of the vocalizations that one animal can make, learn from that. And that is going to be that huge mental shift of success. Absolutely huge mental shift on success. So number 11 here, what does a turkey do after he stops gobbling that most hunters miss? Shut up. Just shut up. If you call, and this is something that's very repetitive, I like going through all of these questions here without reading them, so I can give the most prompt answer without premeditating an answer. I honestly haven't read these before. What does a turkey do after he stops gobbling that most hunters miss. Just shut up. If you call and that bird cuts you off, very high probability he's coming. Just wait. You know where he is. You called. He knows where you are. Just wait. Wait for the response. If there is no response and time is going on, go ahead and just give it another soft call. If he cuts you off, it's probably going to be louder because he's cutting distance and he's looking for you. Shut up. Maybe purr a little bit. So we'll give a hypothetical example. You give a few yelps and he cuts you off as you're calling. He's probably coming. I'm going to sit there in complete silence and I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait. If I hear nothing, I'm just going to go a little bit softer and I might just purr a little bit. In my mind, he's coming. I don't want to come out of the gate and call again. Hypocritical to this. I love that fired up Tom. If you touch a call, he's just gobbling his butt off. Those are super fun birds to call in. They make you feel like a rock star. Those birds are fun as heck to call. They're gobbling the whole way in. They're gobbling on camera. But in the real world, if that bird cuts you off, when you're calling, shut up. If too much time elapses and you're thinking, he's got to be close, he's got to be real close, where is he? Go ahead, just super soft. Give some soft yelps or just purr a little bit. Let him know where you are and then just shut up and be prepared for that shot. Always be prepared. Gun up, resting on your knee. Excuse me. If you're in a ground blind, just always be prepared, especially when that bird cuts you off and then there's time in between where it's just completely quiet. He's going to pop out and you got to be ready. All right, number 12 here.
Great use of the caller.
Thank you. How do you know when you've already been detected? Yeah, that sucks. That change of color head, that bright white, blue to red, and that snood. Look at the snood. That large, fleshy patch of skin that flows over the beak contracts and expands depending on their excitedness. It's all in the blood flow with the emotion of the animal. So that bright white, blue, red head of that turkey, he's super excited. That snood is super dangly, like an earthworm. If that snood retracts and that head starts changing to a reddish color, you start to lose the red. You start to lose the white and the blue. You see more of a hue of red on the bird. He sees something he doesn't like. Probably busted. You hear put. You hear that one put, that alarm put. So this is a call, that put or a cluck. This. That could signify an alarm sound. It's also a social sound. The difference is I will never, ever just put or cluck. I'll never do that individual sound. I'm going to use that in association with purrs and yelps. I'm going to use that put, that cluck, in association with other calls that don't signify an alarm. You hear that single individual syllable, that's an alarm. That is an alarm. You hear that put or that cluck, that's an alarm. you see that head change from that bright white, blue, red head, starts to change to that red hue, and that snood retracts. That blood flow just said, oh, I'm not excited. That's danger. You're over with. You're done. So, where was that question? How do you know when you've already been detected? That blood flow is going to change. Physically, you can see that in the bird, but that individual single syllable of that put, that is an alarm sound. All right, number 13 here. What's the biggest ego mistake turkey hunters make? Collectively, that's hard. That's really hard. What's the biggest ego mistake turkey hunters make? Reaping birds? That's the first thing that comes to mind. Reaping a turkey is when you're crawling behind a decoy, you have a fan in front of you, and you are a live action decoy going at that bird. It's fun, it's exciting, and there's no calling involved. It's just physical. It's physical. You're not learning anything. I've done it. I've enjoyed doing it. It's not the safest thing in the world. Something I said before, I don't know if I said it in this video or a previous one, but there's actually 11 states in North America that allow either spring and or fall turkey hunting seasons with center fire rifle cartridges. So here in New York, it's archery only, it's shotgun only. The only places I've ever reaped a bird with a decoy or a turkey fan, crawling through a field with a shotgun, going after a bird, is I'm in the middle of a field. I feel completely safe doing that. But the outlaw is always going to be the outlaw. If somebody wants to jack a turkey, that guy exists. There could be people out here in New York, and I like to think that everybody plays by the rules and everybody's honest. That guy with a center fire rifle cartridge that sees a turkey fan going across the field, you just put a target on your back. So I really think that's one of the biggest ego mistakes for people is using turkey decoys, and especially reaping the bird behind a decoy. You're putting yourself in danger, and you're really not learning anything from the animal other than that, competitive, natural survival instinct and that hierarchy. I mean, it's fun, it's exciting, but just be aware of your surroundings and don't get complacent. That's really the first thing that comes to mind when, like, the biggest ego mistake that turkey hunters make. Reaping birds and killing birds and successfully doing it. You're a turkey killer. You're not a turkey hunter. The last one I have here, when should you abandon a bird completely? This one's tough. I had one bird 2 seasons ago, and I burned 2 weeks trying to kill this one bird. He was on private property. I was hunting on private property, but I did not have permission to cross that line. Every morning, I had the general idea where that bird was roosting, and I had no approach. The only approach I had on this bird to actually cut distance from my permission, the vegetation was way, way too thick to try to call that bird from the one private onto my private. He wouldn't do it. And I learned that the first 2 days. He would skirt around me. So the third day, I went to where the bird was skirting around me. And the one circumstance that I have to deal with is you can legally discharge on turkeys 30 minutes before sunrise. So I could only hunt this bird till about 7:05 in the morning. And I burned 2 weeks on this bird. The problem hunting this bird was traffic. We wake up at the same time. We get out of bed, we make our coffee, we have our breakfast, we get in our vehicle, we drive to work. The time it took for that bird to come out of the roost, work the field, come to my call was real close to 6:40 in the morning. That's when traffic would start coming down the road. I actually had to try to call this bird across a road onto the neighbor's property that I'm hunting on, and I got him to come 4 times. And all 4 times was the most heartbreaking thing. He'd gobble. He's coming. I had eyes on him. I had binoculars on him. Absolutely stud 3, if not 4-year-old Tom. Huge rope. I could see his spurs in the binoculars. Just a beautiful specimen of an eastern turkey. I'm going to spend the time to try to kill this bird. I never killed him. My friend Mike, that hunts that property adjacent to that property, had a vendetta to try to kill this bird. Neither of us ever killed this bird, and we both had this vendetta to kill this bird. I would sit by 6:40 in the morning, and I would hear his gobble. I would call, and then I got it to a point where he would cut me off. He's coming in hot. And then I would hear traffic. And I'd hear those tires on the road, and then those tires would just slow down because that bird was either on the edge of the road or in the road. And then I'd hear the car speed up. And then I'd wait. Now is the bird on my side of the road, or did it go back onto the other property? I'd wait, and I'd sit in silence, and then I'd lightly call again, and he would open up back on the other property. This happened 4 times where I had the bird coming, traffic would screw it up. Things that are completely out of my control. I burned almost 2 weeks straight trying to kill that one bird because I was playing by the rules. Not fence hopping. I legitimately tried to bring that bird across a paved road with traffic, right, like call it rush hour. It's in a rural area, but we're creatures of habit, and so are they, and that was the problem I had to deal with. Tried to do it on a weekend, and it didn't pan out. Random traffic coming through at the same time in the morning, not rush hour traffic going to work, or maybe it was. I couldn't seal the deal on that bird. So when should you abandon a bird completely? I never abandoned that bird because every single day there was a chance. There was a chance. But my suggestion to you is, when should you abandon a bird? That circumstance, I never abandoned that bird because every single day there was a chance. And it never happened. But during one individual hunt, when should you abandon a bird? Hen competition. Hen competition is a big one. That's a good time to just walk out, abandon the bird. People complain about this. People complain about the season that we have in New York State, running from May 1st to the end of May. It's the whole month of May, 30 minutes before sunrise until noon. And too many hunters that I'll be honest, Facebook trolling. Like, I will read, I will not comment, I won't interact, I'll just read. How many hunters in New York want the season opened earlier? Mid-April, later April through the end of May, because how many hens are getting bred, how many toms are gobbling. I love those late May toms because hens are bred, hens are sitting on nests, and those males still have that natural instinct to breed. It's still triggered in their brains. when that hen is sitting on a nest, tending the nest, they are not responsive going to a Tom's gobble. That's where Brian steps in. If I am an active hen communicating as a hen and there's a Tom there with that natural instinct to breed, he is so much more likely to come to my call as opposed to that unresponsive hen. So as time elapses, if you have a Tom that has so many hens and your hen competition is completely overwhelmed, that's a really good time to say, you know what? Time out. I'm going to leave that bird alone. Let's go to some other property. We'll go somewhere else. Go on public land. Go for a walk, call, try to find a responsive Tom. New York State, we get 2 spring bearded turkey tags. But remember, where was that Tom with all of that hen competition? Go back to him later in the season. He's going to be an easier bird to kill as the season progresses because all of those hens that are bred will be sitting on nests. They're going to be less responsive to come to a Tom's gobble, and then you show up to that property. That bird is going to be much easier to kill later in the season when you have hen competition as opposed to right off the rip in the beginning of the season. So those are 14 different fundamentals of spring turkey hunting, and I hope that helped you.